Welcome to The Common Room. It is episode 14. Yes, it's the show that gives you all the information that's been floating around in the world, in the state, in the region, and our country, and broadcast it to your very ears. My name is Brayden Green, and I am your host, and I'm joined by always my great co-host, who is...
Excited to be here. That's right. I'm excited to be here. My name is Ashleigh McFadden.
How are you, Ash?
I'm great. How are you, Brayden?
Pretty good, considering that we have mainly finished the uni year. We don't have, most of us won't have classes out there, but we're revising for big exams or big assignments, whatever it is. It can be a stressful period, but most of us don't have classes. If we still have classes, keep chugging along. We'll
and
slowly
finish those assignments. They don't do themselves.
And all the people having exams soon, we wish you luck. They can be pretty scary.
Yeah, I hate exams. I'm glad I had very few, if not none.
I don't think, looking back on our degree, I don't think we actually had one exam.
Yeah, it's great. I loved it.
So we don't really know the pain of like proper full-on exams, but we wish you luck and hope the stress doesn't get to you. Ash, I'm angry.
Brayden, why are you so angry?
Because the Adelaide 500 has been axed. I'm so angry about this decision. Now, I know there's a lot of people that probably just turned off the radio because they're just like, oh, it's at the car race. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 20 minutes has now been knocked off my drive. Just stop being selfish, all right? I'm unbelievably angry at this because this was one of South Australia's premier sporting events. It brought so many people here. It brought so much money, and a ton of people have lost their job. It's depressing, it's sad, and there's people celebrating over this. What a load of crap.
It's another one of those unfortunate side effects of COVID, I think, that we're going to be losing these big events.
But that's the thing. They're blaming it on COVID, which I think is absolute bulldust. It's just... There are so many reasons that have gone into this. Now, a lot of people have come out, and I know here's the arguments already. Like, we don't need the Adelaide 500 street circuit when we have Tailem Bend, right? That's one of the big arguments. Here's the thing. What's wrong with having two? What's wrong of, like, doubling your money in some cases, right? Now, it doesn't always double your money. I understand that. But here's the thing. There are rumours going around, right, because the Adelaide 500 is gone, it will be harder to attract supercars back. And the problem is Tailem Bend is an unbelievable racecourse. It's a great facility. But the infrastructure around Tailem Bend isn't too great, it must be said. And there are rumours circulating that supercars don't like going out to Tailem Bend for that reason. A lot of teams would go... A lot of people, I should say, would go back to Adelaide, and it's a long drive.
Well, the big beauty of the Adelaide 500 was it's right in the city. And I know it annoyed a lot of people, but it's right in the city. How much better can it get? Yeah, Not to mention the concert, and of course it's during the festival season, so there's people in the city anyway.
Yeah, and what really has bugged me about this, so many people have celebrated it, right? Because they've no longer got a 20-minute delay. Now, I want you to imagine you're at your workplace, right? I'm your boss. G'day, Ash. You're fired because this bloke over here doesn't want to drive an extra 20 minutes to work.
What? That's ridiculous. How will I feed my poor family now?
And look, I don't like being real critical of the South Australian government at the moment because they've done a very good job with COVID. It must be said, and I want to keep balance. But I want to point you some stats out, right? From the last few races of this economic impact, right? In 2019, what do you think the economic impact was?
For a big car race like that, it'll be a few million into the economy.
41.9 million.
41 million? That's a huge amount.
0.9 million, right? In 2020, guess what the number was?
Well, I guess it's going up.
45.9 million.
49.
And on top of that, that was 435 full-time jobs for 2019. That's not just cash. Now, let's put that in context. That's 435 full-time work, right? Now, let's also remember the caterers that come in food trucks and stuff like that for the 4 days, right? For the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Let's also remember them. Let's remember the volunteers that get the race. Remember the marshal. There are so many people that have been affected by this. It blows my mind.
There's so many people affected by big events like this. People don't realise it. They think it's just the people in the cars. But there's the catering, as you've said. There's the engineers behind the cars. There's the people working the event stages as well. Yeah, there's people who put up the fences. There's the green team on the ground.
As you said, the music. And what really annoys me, the people that are celebrating this, these are the people that usually went to the concert and not the race. I didn't mind that. It used to annoy me a little bit because I felt like, well, aren't you meant to be there for the race? But okay, it still brought people in. To me, this was perfect because it made arts and sport come together and it showed what it could do.
And right in the middle of the Adelaide festival.
Yeah. So we had bands like Kiss come. We had bands like Rob Thomas come.
Huge
These are
bands.
big names, Hilltop Hoods have played theirs before.
And would they come if it wasn't for the Adelaide 500?
We'll
if
never
it was
know.
just for a concert out of the blue?
Yeah, exactly. So it affects them as well. And 254,000 attended this in 2019. 254,000.
That's almost 500,000. That's a huge number.
Yeah, well, your maths is a little bit out there, but
What are you talking about?
250,000, Ash. But but yeah. So I'm just really upset, and it's not just me. And look, I know I'm coming from a biased point of view because my dad worked at Holden, so I love motorsport, right? I've grown up with motorsport my whole life, but it isn't just me. There are supercar racers that are like the actual drivers who've gone out on Twitter and absolutely slammed the government for this decision. Nick Percat, who drives for Brad Jones Racing, basically just went F you to whoever made this decision. That's paraphrasing there, and that's not me just like emphasising everything. He actually said F you into that. Todd Hazelwood has been big on as well. Scott Pye also is talking about these memories. And it's not just, these are local drivers. It's not just them. Garth Tander, went English then for a second. Garth Tander has expressed his disappointment. Mark Scaife, a legendary racer of the Holden brand, said the Adelaide 500 was the best event on the calendar. He said it was better than Bathurst as an event. Can you believe that?
Crazy.
You go.
It's crazy. And I think the strangest thing is that they couldn't work out a way around this that involved local Australian rather than international drivers.
Yeah.
Local people as well. In the Tour Down Under, which they're still going ahead with, they're using completely Australian.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't think you can call it the Tour Down Under. It's like a mini event with
Tour
domestic.
Down Under. So they're still having the bike race,
but
but they're having
there's no international drivers in supercars.
Exactly. So how is that not possible? How is it possible to have a bike race where they're exposed and in big pelotons?
Yeah.
And being in an individual car, and there's no international people, as you're saying, is out of the question suddenly.
Yeah. So basically the argument is Labor has come out, if they win the election, I think it's in 21 to 22, they win, they'll bring it back. They'll find the money. But
That's
also,
so far away, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time away, and I'm worried that we'll lose that will lose momentum and almost be forgotten by that point. Mind you, they'll probably drive at home. Now, I'm not telling people who to vote for. I'm not one of those people. I'm asking the Tourism Commission, because they're basically saying that the board made this decision and they've got backup plans. They said basically they've explained that there'll be other things. Well, tell us what there is going to... I can't believe that hotels are going to sit there, right, and say, right, usually we are pretty damn full by this period and we're going to be empty. Well, that's going to be a good thing. At least I can park the car a bit easier.
You can get into town 20 minutes quicker than you used to. That's a big plus.
And see what?
And see what? Nothing.
Exactly. It just... Oh! And it wasn't just that. It's not just the car race. Whenever you go to the Adelaide 500, you got to see a bit of the RAAF as well, which was pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah. Now that's exciting. Flying overhead with their sonic booms.
Yeah, exactly. It's loud as hell. It got you excited. And... you take over for a minute before I just...
Yeah, well, Brayden has his meltdown. So, as part of this news, there was other talks about WOMAD having to shut down their international branch. So it's not a world festival, it's a Australian festival.
Yeah. So that's more understandable.
That's understandable because we can't have international travel. They can have New Zealand. I think they're part of the bubble in Japan. But I don't even know if they're included in the program at this stage, because it's so up in the air about what's going to be allowed for international. But the point is, they're still going ahead. The Superloop has been completely cancelled, not going ahead. Even the Fringe, even the Garden of Unearthly Delights. Like, remember how packed that can get on a Saturday night? Like, you cannot move for people.
Yeah.
That's still going ahead.
Yeah, you can't have a racetrack.
But you can't have a racetrack.
Like,
a lovely spread out racetrack.
Like that just...
Like the changes they're going to have to do to the garden and to those small venues, they're not going to survive on how few people they're going to be able to fit in those venues. But they're still going ahead, planning to make it go ahead.
Yeah.
And then a car race, which can spread people out like quite easily, I'd say. Yeah. A lot more easily than a small theatre can, is completely wiped off the calendar.
Look, I would recommend people go look at the Save the Adelaide 500 Facebook page. They've got a petition there. You don't have to agree with everything it says, but it's got a petition there you can sign if you want to keep the race. You know, there's basically a big petition to get as much support behind it as we can. And the funny thing about this, because it's a contract that's broken, right? We're not going to have it in 2021. And because supercars have been kind of blindsided by this, they're going to still demand some money. So we're still going to be paying for an event that we're not even having.
Wow. Now that's another...
Whoa!
It makes you really wonder about the decisions being made on a high level.
Yeah, you really do. And it's going to bring out the conspiracy theorists, I'll tell you that. I mean, a lot of questions are going to be asked if there's a partnership deal going up with somewhere. Who knows what's going there? There's going to be questions. I'm not accusing of them of that. I'm just accusing of just... In my view, I don't understand why they've made this decision. They said the cost of it is too expensive. They recently got Superloop to sign on, which was a big deal because there was a race not too long ago where we didn't have a major sponsor. You could probably argue that it's not doable if you didn't have a major sponsor. But if you've just signed one...
If you've got a sponsor and you have to pay them anyway, as you seem to be...
Yeah, like, what?
What is the benefit of calling it off, frankly?
Exactly. I really... It just...
And it's probably too late for the petition to have any effect on it now, but we can definitely have an effect on 2022.
Yeah,
and we're getting enough.
And the government have had spokesmen, people and stuff like that speak about it and everything as well. There's a quote by these people saying the Premier, like, look, I'm not going to basically paraphrase the person. Basically, they said Adelaide is the only street circuit. That's completely false. I can tell you that right now. Townsville still existed. I think they went to Townsville twice, in fact, this season. So that's embarrassing enough.
Not to mention, that's one of the big selling points, isn't it? Being one of the
you escape to the city
streetscapes that they get to drive to.
I'll give you a perfect example, right? When you're in Tailem Bend, after the race, you're pretty buggered. You know you're in for a long drive. Unless you got an Airbnb there or in the hotel, you usually spend more money. Meanwhile, if you were in the city... what are you going to do? All right, I might go out for dinner down in the pub maybe. I could go down to the casino or maybe a nice walk through the Botanic Gardens because they had those fringe events down there and stuff like that. Oh, I could walk to the fringe.
I can go to see all these artists, go to all these open bars that are opening on the street. It's just revenue for all these artists as well. It affects everyone. That's the thing about Adelaide. One of these events falls down,
it's a domino effect.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And these people saying that they're happy that they're not going to have the noise pollution. Well, I think we can live with a bit of noise pollution in Adelaide.
Exactly. And we can live with a 20-minute delay compared to some people in Melbourne that drive like 3 hours or in some cases.
But 20 minutes in Adelaide is actually a long time.
It blows my mind. Look, so again... I think more than anything, we want a proper explanation.
We'd just like to hear some of the benefits of cancelling it. Because so far, I've heard none. Yeah,
because I'm not going to go out there and completely criticise them without hearing the point of view. But to me, it's just... I can't go on. We're going to a music break.
So while Brayden has a little meltdown, we'll just go to a music break.
You're listening to The Common Room on Unicast.